a Feng Shui reading before?
I have not. This is totally new for me.
Okay. How much about Feng Shui do you know?
I'm kind of familiar with the Bagua and uh, a little bit of how the elements play into that, but that's about it.
Okay. So my question to you would be, what are some things that you're looking forward to today, just with the limited knowledge of what you have of Feng Shui? What,
Yeah.
what are you excited about?
um, I'm just excited to see like what areas need the most work on and what can use the most improvement. Because I feel like things are at like pretty an even level for the most part with how everything is going. But
Would you say that you're into a lot of like energy, spiritual things, or is this like totally new to you?
it's been a kind of a long development for me. I was very, very fortunate in high school to have a teacher who taught us like meditation.
Oh, cool.
Like that was like pretty early on. It was like I was like very open to those ideas and stuff, but it's been like very, very recently, like within the past, year and a half, that it's been kind of like I've been really, really getting back into meditation and getting into Feng Shui and being really more open and excited about this.
Good. Okay. Well, the reason I ask is because a lot of the things that I'm going to talk about today are very esoteric. And so I've been doing Feng Shui for 20 years now. And, I remember my cat's butt in the camera. Our children are going crazy today. So I remember what it was like 20 years ago. I was a pre-med student. I had gotten accepted to med school, and I had a very surreal experience that happened, and it was so amazing and so mystical that I dropped everything, and I was like, okay, I've got to do this. I didn't know how, and I didn't know where to go. And so I was like, I have to go into real estate, or I have to go into interior design, because that's the only way I can get into houses.
Uh-huh.
I didn't realize that, people were going to be so weirded out by it. A lot of people are not sure about it because it is unusual, but it did at least get me into houses.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of what I'm going to share with you today, a lot of what I'm going to talk with you about today is really, it's talking a lot about energy. And so a lot of times people, when they hear the word Feng Shui, they think, oh, you're going to move my furniture. Oh, you're going to tell me to move my clutter or get rid of my clutter. And we're actually not going to talk about any of that. We're going to talk about much more really esoteric, where we're talking a lot more about the energy aspects of Feng Shui and what that can show up in your life, and what that can look like, and how that can affect you on a grander scale.
That sounds amazing.
Okay. So I actually do this promotion every year in some form or fashion. Last year we did a free floor plan reading for an event that we did. And so this year we did it because we were celebrating our 100th episode. So I always love, I don't know how long you've been listening to the podcast, or if you do listen to the podcast, but Janny Moon was the one that won it last year, maybe 2017. I can't remember. Anyways, so she was fantastic because she had all kinds of crazy things in her floor plan. And so I was able to have a couple of people on. But one of the reasons that I like to do this promotion is I like to be able to share this with the world. I like to be able to do this in either video or audio, so that people can see that I do have real people on the other side of this. I teach a lot of this. I have online courses, and I also have the podcast where I teach. And these are great because people can see themselves in you, and they can say, wait a minute, I have that too, or I've experienced that too. And it helps put, a realness to this very intangible thing. So that's why I like to be able to do this at least a couple times a year so that I can share this with other people and show them that Feng Shui can be a very practical tool to create transformation in our life. And it can be really awesome. So thank you for saying yes to this.
I am so excited that you chose me.
We got over 200 applications.
Wow.
It took a long time to go through them, but I actually, I was involved at the tail end. The girls are the ones that really go through it because I don't want to know too much. I can't know too much about you. I want to read it out of the floor plan, and I want to read it from my experience with your Feng Shui. So the girls are the ones that picked them, and then they put like 3 in front of me and said, pick one. And I said, okay, that one. So I had very little involvement, but I do that a lot. Deborah typically knows a lot more of the details. And I try to stay out of it because I want to know absolutely nothing. So
I'm excited to hear what you think about it, about my floor plan.
Yeah. So I'm going to do a spiel here because this is going to go up on the show, and then we'll get started. And I'm going to start with talking about your elemental makeup. But what I'll do is, as I'm going through, I'm going to talk about your elemental makeup, and then I'm going to talk about the Feng Shui and also the energy of the vibrational energy of your home. And what I'll do is I'll stop in between and ask you, you know, about questions and things like that, so that I'm not just rambling on and you're like, oh, but wait. So that way you can get your questions answered as well. And as I go through these, do you have a pen and paper so that you can be taking notes as well? Okay.
I do.
Because as I go through and talk about various things, I'm going to share with you some things that you can do to alleviate some of what I call kinked energy, kinked toes. All right, are you ready?
Ready.
Hey everyone, welcome to the show. I'm so excited today. I'm kicking off with my annual promotion of doing a free floor plan reading, and this year's winner is Jessica Raddick. Hi, Jessica.
Hi, Amanda.
So I'm excited that Jessica decided to do this and said yes. One of the things that I haven't done in probably 2 years is had somebody on video. The last 18 months or so, the winners that we've had of various promotions, I've done audio. So this is great because people can actually see you and see that you're a real person. But what we're going to do today is we're going to do a Feng Shui floor plan reading. I do these a lot on the YouTube channel, and I show my expertise as far as, you know, what advanced Feng Shui is. But, you know, when there's not another person to give me feedback or to say things back, I think it's better for the viewers to be able to say, oh my God, she's, you know, resonating with this, or, you know, I have that too. So I think this will be a lot of fun. What we're first going to start off with is what's called elemental makeup. And so in Feng Shui, there are 5 elements. There is metal, water, wood, fire, and earth. And so we have basically Wi-Fi, I call it, but our energy Wi-Fi that surrounds us, and that's chi. And that chi has a personality. And so I always have people take the elemental makeup test to have a better understanding of what's showing up. And Jessica is a metal, and Joey, your husband, is a water. So when I say that to you, Jessica, does that mean anything to you?
Yes, it does. Because I know for me, I know I've heard before that metal tends to be a lot more, I guess, organized. Mm-hmm. And I have probably a million different checklists laying around and like 5 different calendars going at the same time.
Yeah. And, so metals typically have an agenda. Mm-hmm. They typically love to-do lists. They tend to be very articulate, very organized, very together. Now, you personally may not be, you know, there may be moments where you personally don't feel like you're together, but your world always is. Mm-hmm. Because if it's not, then you're out of sorts. So what I always call metals are particular. So I would say that a lot of the books, like the organizing books that are out there that have been written and are on the shelves in the bookshelf and the bookstores, I would say probably 100% of those have been written by metals. As opposed to, an earth element that, can't stand change and doesn't like, it's not that they don't prefer organization, they just find it harder.
Yeah.
They may pick up an organizational book and say, oh my God, I can't do that. Like the Marie Kondo book, I'm sure the earths were like, I can't put all my books in a category and throw them away. And a metal's just like, let's do this. So what makes this interesting is that, a metal can be very self-contained. They can tend to be aloof because there's so much order going on in their head and they can see things. You can put them in the most, chaotic space. And in their mind, they can literally, they're like moving things around and they're already getting things organized. So what makes the relationship dynamic with your husband is that he is a water. And so waters too can be very self-contained and self-sufficient, but waters tend to be very flowy, and they don't give two flips about organization. They typically one of the key things about a water element is they love research and data and knowledge and to, dig deep into things. And they're the truth seekers. Whenever we have an Epstein crisis or a Me Too crisis or the 2008 crisis, when we have things like that, it's the waters that are getting to the truth, and they're the ones that are exposing things because they will not eat, sleep, they won't do anything until they get to the truth. So they can be really introspective and conservative, but because both of you can be very self-contained, that can put a little bit of a divide in your relationship. So you really want to just make sure, one of the things that both of you would do well with is a fire element. I'd be curious to know what your daughter is. Fire tends to be very warm, very intimate, very joyous, and that's going to spark a metal, and it's also going to spark a water element. So if she's not, that's okay, but it would definitely be to your advantage to make sure you have date night, make sure that you have things that bring joy and warmth and intimacy into your life, so that you're both held, that you're both getting that warmth in your life. Because if not, then your elements can get out of balance. Things can, you'll find that you get frustrated, or things feel like they're out of control, or one thing's with water is because they do so much research and data. If something were to come along and steal those ideas or that research, they are devastated. Like that's their life's work. So you can see how something like that can throw you out of balance. Or like if you're particular and you like things to be absolutely just so, then, your order can get out of whack, especially with children, quite easily. So just try to do some joyful things in your life, just to bring some warmth into that. Because I think that it will just help to keep things balanced, and it's going to matter. We're going to dive into your floor plan now, and it's going to matter in how you guys show up because of the way that your plan is. So I've got actually a couple of questions. On the plan that you gave me, I don't know where your stove is. Which it looks like maybe the sink looks out at the patio. Is the stove opposite of that?
And then the stove is opposite that.
Okay. Um, so it's hard to tell as far as the shape of the home. It looks like it's an L shape, and it looks like it's pretty balanced. I actually looked at it on Google before we hopped on the call, and it looks like it's pretty balanced as far as it's right on the border. I don't know how much you follow me, but I always talk about the top 5 disruptors. So number 1, you got a lot going on. It looks like with your front door, it looks like maybe you have 3 doors in your front door area. Is that correct? Or 4?
Yes. It's a closet, a door leading to the the kitchen, and then there's a pantry door. All like
So is
back.
there 4 total?
Oh, well, there's the front door, and then I want to say there's probably about 10 feet from the front door to the closet.
Okay. There's just a lot of doors there. And it's doors represent voices. So that means that there's a lot of talk, lots of voices, lots of speaking up. And so when we're talking about your elemental makeup, with you both being aloof, if you've got a divide between you, it could be that you're not seeing eye to eye. You're talking a lot, or you're talking at each other, or it could be arguing, maybe not, but a lot of talking, a lot of things coming up. So I would recommend, maybe making sure that I'm sure the doors are all painted the same color, but maybe put a mirror on one of them, or that would probably be the best thing. Or maybe distract, like, I don't know if you've got any artwork on the side there when you walk into the left-hand side of the front door, or maybe a really great rug. That might be the best thing right there, is to put some kind of a really great rug down, so that that has a really great pattern to it, to help grab the chi, to help calm it down. And then another thing that could be really great is a chandelier in there.
Okay.
So it just helps slow things down and quiet things down, because what happens at the front door happens everywhere.
Yeah.
It literally spreads throughout. So if you've got a lot of voices coming at you, this could show up at work. If you've got a lot of people going, Jessica, I need this. Jessica, I need that. Jessica, why didn't you take care of this? Jessica, did you do this? And, then you come home and your husband's like, babe, did you do this? Did you do that? I needed this done. And it's like all this stuff. And he could be experiencing that too. It's just a lot of voices. The other thing is I was unclear. It looks like maybe when you walk in from the garage, are you walking into, on the space that you gave me, it looks like there's a number 10 on it. Is that the laundry room?
It's like a utility room. Right now, we have our dog crates there, and it's basically their bedroom.
Okay, so it's just kind of an empty room.
Yeah. I think we have like 1 or 2 shelves in there.
Okay. I just wasn't sure. It's not really a room that matters. It too has a lot of doors. You got a lot of doors in your house.
Yeah.
But again, you need to be mindful of those doors. You need to make sure that they're all operable, that they're working well. Make sure that the hinges are not squeaking. Make sure that the doors aren't sticky. You're in Florida, so that means that you have a lot of humidity.
Oh, yeah.
So the doors could stick. And so that's another thing that you don't want, is you don't want your doors sticking, because then that means that your voices are getting tripped up, or things could be, that could create arguing if things are getting tripped up because the energy's catching. So you have for the amount of space and for the size of the home, you have an enormously large amount of doors. So it could be that you're a talkative family, and that's why you attracted this home, is because of that. Just be mindful of them, make sure you maintain them, and make sure you care for them. You do have a bathroom just on the other side of the utility room. And so that could affect your finances. And this is important because at the opposite side of that is your master bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
So when we're looking at guas like that, when you have a diagonal parallel in your floor plan, which you have, that means that they're both affected. So it could affect your finances so that money feels like it's coming in and going out. It could feel like you're not getting the support that you need or have supportive people in your life, like you feel like an island and you're having to do everything. And it could show up as, maybe you have a repair or something that needs to be done and you just can't get somebody to show up.
Yep.
Has that
Yep, that has happened several times.
So,
yep.
Yeah, that would be, whenever you have a slice down the middle like that, that's definitely something that would show up because it weakens the strength of the energy of what that area of your home can bring you. And it's basically hitting on finances and your connection to, basically our connection that we have to heaven and earth is divine, like spiritual intuition, spiritual help, our ability to get the support and help that we need, and it's compromised. So, and then when we look at finances, when we put those two together, it's like maybe repairs keep coming up that are costing money and you don't have the support that you need to fix them and you don't have the finances to pay for them. So it could be like this endless loop. Can also show up where you don't have supportive people at work. Because if we look back to all the doors that you have, it could be a lot of people are talking at you, talking to you, speaking up, just a lot of chatter, but none of it helps. So, and in any situation, whether you're doing the PTA or at work or just running a household, any advice that you get, you want it to be helpful and supportive. You don't want it to just be coming at you. Do you have any questions so far?
So when you were talking about putting a mirror on the door, one of the doors, does it matter which direction or like which side of the door to put it on?
You would want to put it so that it's facing in the entryway, but I really like because what I'm going to have you do is place mirrors on your bathroom doors. Those are going to be absolutely necessary. You can get the ones that hang on the outside. That's going to help slow that chi down and heal that. So I really like the idea in your entryway of, yeah, I think that that's going to be a lot more healing because you probably get a lot of movement in there already from coming and going from the house. And I think that a rug with some pattern, and then if you can get a light fixture, something that has some crystals or some sparkle to it, you have the ceiling and the floor. So you get more of a dynamic energy pattern, so to speak, where all bases are covered. And I think it would be prettier too.
Okay.
So, that's the benefit of me being an interior designer is I always want stuff to be pretty.
Yeah.
The other thing I had a question about is it looks like your bedroom door is off the kitchen. Is that correct?
There's a dining room in between.
So when you have a design detail like that, that can show up. It's pretty close to the kitchen. And so when we look at that from an energy standpoint, those energies don't mix. It's a very public space right up against a very private space. And so in that particular instance, the way that your bedroom is right off of it, this is such a nuance within a nuance. So I just want to mention that in case people are watching this video going, I have that. This is so rare. So congratulations.
Okay.
But this is such a nuance within a nuance that what this can show up as, and the only reason I'm bringing it up is because of the location of your bathrooms. because that can accelerate it, is that it could lead to no forward movement in your career. It could be that you're getting tripped up in your career, or there's no forward movement, or it's like a start, stop, start, stop, start, stop. And it's because those energies don't mix. So have you experienced that? Is that?
That is, yep, right on.
So it's an unusual detail. That's not something and in the 20 years that I've been doing this, I've only seen that detail twice. So congratulations. Wow. But that's the beauty of advanced Feng Shui, is, just understanding those little nuances like that. And so that's what that does. But it's a very easy fix. All you need to do is get a faceted crystal, just a round faceted crystal, and hang that on the inside of your bedroom. So you open the door, and on the inside, hang that from the ceiling. And the intention there is just to heal that energy, so that you don't have public and private space up against each other, where you've got all this public stuff coming into your bedroom and all this private stuff going out into the public. You're slowing that energy down. And really what you want to do is you want to hang that with the intention that you do have forward movement in your career, so that you're not getting tripped up. The other, which is another nuance that I don't see a lot, is the way that your bedroom is laid out with that door. What that can lead to is just a loss of resources. And so I should back up a little bit here. As I go through these details, whenever I do a floor plan reading, I always want to call out the energy kinks that I see. I always liken it to a hose. So if you've ever, watered your garden or washed your car and you get a kinked hose, you get frustrated, right? Yes. Go over and shake the hose. So that's basically what Feng Shui is. We're just simply, I'm calling out where the kinks are, so that we can unkink them to get things flowing in your life. When somebody gets a floor plan reading, you may be sitting there going, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. There's so much. It's okay. Everything is fixable. What's really great about this is simply the awareness, and most people don't know about it, right? Most people don't know that these things exist. So what you do know is the experiences that you're having, that maybe a lot of people are talking at you and not really to you, and not really giving you great advice, that you're experiencing, that you're not getting helpful people in your life, and you're not getting the best of support. You're getting tripped up at work. So these are all things that you're resonating with, and you may not have known why you were experiencing these things. And that's very typical. A lot of people will look to external things. They'll hire a professional, maybe work with a coach. They'll, start eating right. They'll go to a gym. They'll think that it's just 100% their personal chi, and they start doing all these external things. And then they're coming to a home that's a hot mess. So that's what this is about. That's why I'm calling these things out. Don't panic. I usually say that at the beginning of the show, and I kind of just dove in, but I want to say that also for the viewers. It's not a matter of, oh my God, there's 5,000 things. It's okay. Everything's fixable. It's just a matter of, it's important to call out where kinks could be showing up, so that we can unkink them and get the energy flowing. The other question I had was, in your bedroom, it looks like you have maybe a closet system that looks kind of like an L.
Yeah. There are two separate closets. It's like the one facing, or like on the front of the house, is a walk-in, and then the other one is just like more of the, I guess, a traditional, like, whatever, reach-in, I guess. It has the bifold doors. And
okay, I would just pay attention to the edge, the corner. That's another top 5 disruptor. That's a knife edge. Because it's a piece of furniture, it may not be bad. It may have a rounded corner. It may be pretty soft, but it is coming at the bed. So just pay attention. If you're experiencing anything like insomnia, not sleeping well.
Yep.
So you have to, when we're talking about knife edges, in Feng Shui, it's sharpshooting chi. It's like a highway. And energy is just coming at you at a high rate of speed. And it's been scientifically proven that when we have points like that, they have a different frequency to them. So if we go back to that idea of your Wi-Fi and your energy, your chi, it's a frequency. And the sharpshooting chi that's coming off of that piece of furniture is a different frequency. So it's hitting you all night and it's agitating you. So that's what can cause lack of sleep, insomnia, and depending on where it hits on the bed, it could cause leg issues, ankle issues, anything like that. So if you're experiencing any of those,
yes, like the leg pains,
that's what it would be. It'd be coming from that. So that is definitely something. Obviously, it is a sharp corner. It's not soft at all. And whoever sleeps closest to the bathroom is going to be. Do you sleep on that side?
It's funny because I used to, and I was getting leg cramps, and then we swapped sides, and now my husband is having leg problems, and my cramps went away.
So, yeah, the knife edges are a little bit more challenging to heal. I typically do pom-poms on them. I think they're super fun. You can, just go to a craft store and get pom-poms and string a string through them. Supposedly, you can hang a crystal from the ceiling and it cuts down the frequency. In my experience, it alleviates it partially. It cuts it down. But in my experience, if I can heal the actual knife edge all the way down, and it doesn't have to be pom-poms. I personally prefer pom-poms because it covers the entire knife edge. So it changes that frequency. You can try a plant. You can try any type of fringe or like a art installation. I did a really great one on a house in California where I took a brass ring and we hung leather off of it. I found all these strips of leather at a thrift store.
Yeah.
So you can get creative with it. There's no absolute as to the best adjustment, but I would recommend, since you've both been experiencing the same exact thing, it's clearly causing an issue. So you definitely want to put something down the edge of that to soften it and basically deter that frequency so that it's not hitting the bed. It's curious that it's been affecting both of you. Let's see. The other thing I would recommend is the way that your kitchen is, you've got a run-through kitchen. And again, this is a nuance within a nuance because of the way that the kitchen is, and because you have so many doors in your house, it could lead to arguing. It could be, it doesn't mean knock down, drag out arguing. It just means bickering or not seeing eye to eye, or, you say something like, I'd really love to do this. And then your husband says, yeah, that's dumb. I don't want to do that. And you're like, well, that's like harsh, like that kind of thing. I would just pay attention to that, just because you do have so many doors in your home, which is voice, which is speaking up. And because you have that run through kitchen, it just means that you've got a lot of fast moving chi, which means that there's a lot of fast talk. Lots of things. Is that anything that you're experiencing? Any kind of bickering or anything like that?
Not so much bickering, but it feels like sometimes like we're talking like at each other and we're just not getting it. Like not so much arguing, but it's like almost miscommunication of like, oh, I will tell him like something like, oh, I told you that, and then it just doesn't get received.
Okay. And a part of that too is, so again, if we kind of like start to put the overall picture together, is the way that the bathrooms are laid out. So you don't have a lot of support. you have a bathroom and on the other side of your utility room there. And so you've got two things. Mm-hmm. Because the front door has so many doors, it also, if we layer, kind of double down on the onion, so to speak, it affects ears. Well, where the bathroom is in the back of the house, where the utility room is listening. So mm-hmm. Our ears are compromised. We're not listening and we're not getting the help that we want. And there's a lot of talking about it.
Yes.
So that would be the talking at one another. So this would actually be a very easy fix. You could take like a small little wind chime, like you can find them on Amazon. It can be a little tiny, tiny wind chime. It could be a crystal if you like those. Crystals are great because they disappear. You know, if you hang them with fish line, you don't even see that they're there. Mm-hmm. But you just want something to slow that energy down and allow it to meander and kind of hang out a little bit so that you hear each other. That way we can get those things to slow down. Does anybody have any issues with their hands, in particular their right hand?
No.
Okay.
Not that I can think of, or not that I know of.
So when I look at the only reason I'm asking that question is when we look at your property line, mm-hmm. Basically the front left corner of your property is cut out because of the cul-de-sac.
Oh yeah.
So that is when we look at that overall, when we look at it's called the mystical body, but they're basically, we look at your home and we look at your property line and it is indicative of us. And so because it's cut out, that area represents hands, but it in particular also can represent specifically the right hand. So you're not having any issues. That's not affecting you. So there's no reason to do anything with that. But in the future, if anything comes up like that, you mm-hmm. know, that would be something. Oh yeah, you know, she said that there was something with the cul-de-sac there. But that area, one thing that it does also represent is because that area, not only does it, each of the areas of our property, mm-hmm. home and property, represent our body, but it also represents transcendental things in our life. And mm-hmm. so in addition to representing our hands, it's also the idea of, you know, being able to climb the mountain, have the energy to climb the mountain, really get the overall view of whatever the project is or whatever the thing is that we're working on, whatever the goal is, and to transition to the next step. So it's basically going from idea to fruition. And because there's a little bit of that cutout there, it could mean that transitions are difficult for you or you don't get projects done.
That's where, yes, project, like it seems like we get about 80-90% done and then it
failure to launch.
Stop, yeah.
So that would be something. What I would do, excuse me, another thing you can get on Amazon is they're called Bagua mirrors, and mm-hmm. they have the trigrams on them. But most importantly is it has a convex mirror in it. And so what you can do is you can hang that over the top of your garage, and that convex mirror will help pick up the image of the property line and expand it so that you're not experiencing, I always call this failure to launch, because it's like you said, you get the idea, you start the project, and then it's like it peters out, like it doesn't quite finish. So that would be something that would be very easy to where you can place that over your garage, grab that resource and bring it back in so that you can get over the hump. So okay. When you hang that, you just want to make sure that you're basically driving that intention into it. I'm just reading my notes. I have so many of them here. The other thing I want to mention, and this is the final thing. So overall, like when we're looking at the overall picture, you know, unable to get your projects completed, there's definitely loss of resources and that can be any kind of resource, but just feeling like resources are unable to attain or hang on to, coming in, going right back out. Lots of talking at you, but no real true advice, inability to listen or really hear, and definitely the leg issues or insomnia with the knife edge. But the other thing one thing that I always look at as well is the address, your home address. And it's an unusual one because you have two, what typically numerologists would consider power numbers. And what I would be cautious of is the ultimate number is 6, which is awesome. It's a great family home number. It's like, if you were ever to have a perfect or ideal number, that's what you would want. But you've got 2 master numbers that energy has to work through to get to the 6. And so I just wrote down some of the vibrational things, the energy vibrations around the address, and it really aligns with what you're experiencing in the Feng Shui. So I would just pay attention, oppose situations to that arguing or being talked at, and not listening. Compatibility is lacking. There may be an illusion of separation or an illusion of kind of what you were talking about, how you're talking at each other, but you're not really, it's like the information's like going by you.
Yeah.
Divided goals, like you're saying something, he's saying something, but you're both going in different directions. Illusion was a word that came up with both of the numbers. A dreamer who awakens just at the last minute, and mistakes in judgment. And so mistakes in judgment is important because with the way that your property line is, you're basically missing knowledge. So we have to look at the vibration of the energy of the address because it's also resonating in your property line. So when you have 2 different vibrations with that same energy, that means that there could be a lack of clarity around things, or it could be just really unable to complete things, finish things, and not know why. Just that judgment of why can't we get these things done? Why can't we get these completed? And what I wanted to say, because again, this is all fixable. One of the things when I looked in my I Ching, it said to exercise caution and watchfulness, but develop a strong spiritual practice. So the reason why it said to develop a strong spiritual practice is to realize your own power. So I think that that's really important, because with the bathroom that you have in your master bathroom or in the master bedroom, it's compromising your connection to heaven and earth. So when you're trying to tap into your spiritual power, it's compromised because of that bathroom. So it may be difficult for you to find time to meditate. It might be difficult for you to find time to cultivate your chi. And so there's a disconnect there. So you already have it with the bathroom, but then you also have it in the vibration of your house address. So that's where you just want to be mindful.
Yeah.
And just pay attention, and be aware and work with it now that you have the awareness that it's there, to try to cultivate that spiritual practice. And it gives you a little bit more of a motivation as to the why, why it may be harder for you to do it, get started, but it could also be, procrastination, not wanting to do it, putting it off. But now that you have the awareness that this is something that you need to be doing, you can say, oh, but I can't put it off. I need to be doing it because of. It just helps give you some of that awareness. Overall, I think that having an understanding of your elemental makeup, knowing that, your husband, with him being a water and you being a metal, you're already not seeing eye to eye. You have two different philosophies, and that's perfectly okay, because we have the entire elemental constitution in our makeup. We just have one that's dominant. So it's going to be up to you to pull up your other elements to work with him. And it's going to be his responsibility to pull up his other elements to work with you. So it's efforting, but that's what you have to do. And I think it's really imperative that you do that because of the energy that's in your home. And that's probably why you attracted the home. That was probably in your Wi-Fi with your elemental makeup, and also the way that you two operate. So we attract our homes because of what's in our energy fields. So all of the doors, the way that the kitchen is, the way that the bathrooms are, I mean, it's totally indicative of how you two show up in your chi. It's fascinating, but I mean, it always happens that way.
Yeah.
But I think if you heal the other things, the most important thing is to heal the things that I mentioned, put up those adjustments, and just put them up with, it's really important that you feel well the day that you do it. Don't feel erratic or frenzied or crazy. Do it on a day that, you have plenty of time, you feel great, you feel, you're not tired or a little bit under the weather. Do it on a day that you're super excited, and just really think about, like, man, I'm putting up this, pom-pom or whatever on the knife edge, and I'm going to sleep like a queen tonight. And just drive that energy into it. Be very intentional as you do these things, and be very intentional about the adjustments that you put up, because the most important thing is your sincerity, and the most important thing is really the intention that you drive into it.
Sorry.
That's okay. So were you able to absorb pretty much everything that I was saying and understand everything that I was saying about everything that's showing up in your house?
Yes, I got lots of notes.
Fantastic. And do you have any questions for me?
Yes, to build on the issue that we have with getting things completed in our house. It feels like also we sometimes run into problems where we feel like things get done and then they just don't stick. Like earlier this year, I repainted our front door, put a new handle on it because the handle was broken, and I was so excited about it. And it was great for a couple of months, and then all of a sudden there was, chips in the paint and the door handle's not working again.
Okay, well, that's definitely something that you want to pay attention to, because again, your front door is so important. So the other thing that we have to pay attention to is that our home speaks to us. So energetically, if it was brand new and it was, if you had just painted the new door, why? Why did this suddenly break? Why did this suddenly happen? So, look at it from that aspect as well. Okay. Now, it could be because the other things in the home have not been healed yet, as far as the bathrooms, the property line, there's other things that are leading to complications, things not getting completed. So it could be once you heal those other things, you're not going to have a problem with it anymore.
Okay.
But I've seen this before where people start doing energy practices on their home and shit starts breaking. And that's because you're changing the vibration of the home and you're starting to elevate things. And so things are bound to break because the frequencies and the vibrations are changing. So pay attention to those. I always recommend that people keep some type of a journal or, write things down, because if you have that experience at your front door and you know how important the front door is, it's literally your mouth of chi. It's your biggest voice that you have, and it's how all energy enters into your home. So if it's breaking, what is breaking in your life? Maybe what are things that are falling away? How is your thinking? How are you able to share your voice with the world and the things that you're saying? Are you getting tripped up and you can't get, like clearing your throat a lot? And kind of like that idea of we have to go to our boss and quit, or we go to our boss and we need to ask for a promotion and we're terrified and we have that lump in our throat. So if you have something that happens at your front door like that, that could be that it's feeding off of your energy and it's telling you something. It could be that, you were trying to speak up about something and you didn't. So it's indicative of, I should have spoke up. I should have said something. So just I would always recommend keeping a journal of things that go on, and things that show up, because a lot of times that energy is speaking to us and it's giving us information. So pay attention to it and write it down, because as you you're going to do this amazing spiritual practice now, but as you write these things down and as you do these, you're going to get ahas the more connected you get. And that's going to be easier for you now, because you're going to heal your bathroom. And as soon as you do that, your connection to God and your connection to divine source is going to become clearer. It's compromised right now. So it's probably made it more challenging for you and harder for you to do. But once that's healed and the other bathroom is healed and you're sleeping better and you and your husband aren't, talking at each other and the doors are, and as we start to heal everything, it's going to become easier and easier.
That sounds fantastic. I'm really excited to
Yeah, well, I hope that this is helpful. I hope that it was, kind of an eye-opening experience to, I always feel like this is validating. We often have so many things going on in our life and we can't pinpoint where it's coming from or why we're experiencing it. So, if you're experiencing that you can't meditate, or, that money and finances or resources are coming and going, and you're like, why does this keep happening? Sometimes it's very validating to know, oh my God, it wasn't all in my head. I wasn't making all this up.
I'm not crazy.
Like the nuance of not being able to, put your best foot forward in your career and getting tripped up and not being able to put your foot forward. That's a very slight nuance. And so that could be something that if you're not into the metaphysical and you're not into this esoteric world, that could be something that you struggle with for 20 years. And so, pat yourself on the back, because by doing this, you're going to be able to heal that energy and fix it. Which is why it blows my mind that people want to say, oh, that Feng Shui stuff doesn't work. And it's like, oh, but it can. All right. Well, I'm excited for you to get started on this. If you have any questions or anything that pop up, just be sure to reach out to Deborah.
Okay.
We would definitely love to hear about your experience. I would say that probably the biggest question that I always get is like, what does this look like? When is this going to happen? And that totally depends on you. Everything as far as the outcome is always different. It looks different for everyone because it's what you're willing to accept and what you're open to receive. And, we've worked with some clients where they're just like kicking ass and taking names and they're ready to go. And like everything floods into their life immediately. And then there's other people that have a little bit of trepidation. They have a little bit of doubt. They're not really sure about this. So they just kind of experiment with it. And it's like they get breadcrumbs until they are like, okay, this is working. And then it floods in.
Yeah.
So, just go into it with your comfort level, go into it with, your level of acceptance and what's comfortable to you. And really the most important thing is just doing it without doubt and do it with a heart of gratitude and sincerity. And I always tell people, go in kicking ass and taking names and, really treat it as if you have placed an order with the universe and you are expecting something amazing in return. Okay. It's really great to meet you. I hope that you're excited to do this. I hope you do everything. And just email Deborah and give us an update and let us know in the new year how things went.
Okay, thank you so much again. This has
really
been absolutely amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. All right. Well, I hope you have a good holiday.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.